Hey everybody, I hope you are doing well. I am Afefe with Touch by Tarot. I'm an intuitive tarot reader. I do oracles. I do a little bit of politics as well. I'm a former journalist, many of you. So thank you for your encouragement around those things, because when none of us is locked into a box. We're living in this world on multiple levels. We have to deal with things that are going on around us as well as things that are going on within us. This taping is more about those things that are going on within us, you all. I have had a lot of readings lately, and for those who have booked with me, I really appreciate it. I love doing this work. Let's talk for a minute, you all, about shadow work. And I've got some things in front of me that I want to share with you, some tips and things that I've found helpful in dealing with shadow work. And the reason that I think it's really necessary, and I'm going to admit to you all, I have, previously, in some previous years, I've tended to shy away a little bit from shadow work because I always thought that it meant it was going to put me back in a place of having to relive things that have been, that have caused trauma or injury. It's like you got to go back into that space and play everything back over in your mind. And your body can sometimes respond to that as if it is still in the here and now. But here's what I also realized as a healer, you all, and I'm sure many of you as well. We can't get to the next phase, whether it's healing an illness or dealing with monetary situations, our path to abundance, if it's our relationships, if it's how we feel in connection to ourselves, our bodies, if it's, our ambition, our goals, whatever it is, our healing, situations that happened when we were growing up, etc. All of those things, in order for us to move forward, bottom line is we got to handle what is happening. How did we get here? Okay, because as we know, most of our wisdom teachers tell us that where we are today is in somehow, shape, form, or fashion related to decisions that we made in the past, circumstances that happened to us in the past that got us here. So if we are in the here and now, and we are doing this work to heal, to move forward, we often go to spirit and say, what's out there for me? How do I live my purpose? How do I heal? How do I get past this situation so I can get to the next, right? If there's no magic switch, it's like you have to take that time to make an assessment of why you feel the way you do about certain things, why you may be hesitant to get into another relationship because there's been a death or a traumatic ending to a previous relationship. And so you go into protective mode, even though the deepest part of you is saying, I want more than anything to have love again. So there's that push and pull, push and pull. That is very much where shadow work comes into play, all right? It's not so much about reliving it so much as it is about assessing it, looking at it for what it is so that you can make some decisions about how to clear that energy and create the space is really what we're doing to be able to move forward, all right? So I've got a few things in front of me. I'm going to keep this as a short taping. Happy to do more. I may even do a class or a series on this, you all. If you're interested in something like that, drop me a comment below and we'll see if we can get something on the books, all right? But meanwhile, a couple of things I want to share with you that have helped me deal with certain shadows. There's that don't be afraid of your shadow, okay? Keep that in mind. So one of the things that I use when I'm doing shadow work, dealing with a situation, recognizing a pattern that doesn't serve me, dealing with, something that I know that I desire, but there's almost that self-sabotage where you get in your own way. You all, there is almost nothing more powerful than a mirror. Because what a mirror does, think about it. When we walk in front of a mirror, very often we're just checking, we're checking to make sure, making sure that we look okay before we head out of the house or something like that. But as a more powerful spiritual tool, mirrors are wonderful, you all, for being able to return energy to a place that if we feel threatened by it, if it does make us feel a little like, ooh, I'm not sure if I'm ready for this, or I don't know what to expect. If it puts us in a place of uncertainty, mirrors are a wonderful tool to say, back at you, especially if you're dealing with shadow work around, I'm going to put that down just because of how it reflects in the camera. But especially when we're doing shadow work around where we have been injured in some way, around, especially if it's childhood or in any situation where we felt like we didn't have the power to combat that person, that thing, that job, that situation, whatever was overwhelming to us. It's difficult because even if we're coming at it later from a place of power, we can feel the same way that we felt when we were in that situation. So it puts us in that space of feeling powerless. The mirror says, no, 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 no. Back at you. Whatever is coming toward me, the fear, the dredging up those thoughts, I send it right back. And that is it puts you in a place of empowerment. It allows you to be able to deal with that situation, but now you've got a tool to be able to say, you know what? You don't scare me anymore. Back at you. It is a beautiful back at you tool, all right? Another tool that I've learned to use, is something that makes you feel pampered. This is one of those, it's one of those, I don't even know what you call these things. I call it a roller. But it's one of those, it helps with the lymph nodes, but it's known as a calming tool. A lot of people who deal with anxiety or, other situations where you just make yourself feel pampered. It puts something in your hand that says, you know what? I'm good. Whatever this is, there's no need for anxiety because I am able to take care of myself. And this is just one tool. It could be a loofah sponge in your shower. It could be, a cool cloth. It could be whatever. But the notion is use something that makes you feel pampered. All right, that is a beautiful tool when you are doing shadow work, and to use it while you are doing that, while you're going over what that situation is, facing that fear, facing that grief, facing that self-sabotage, and getting to the root of, is it worthiness that's making me really doubt this, or that on the one hand, I'm all systems go one day and then the next day, I just don't want to deal with it anymore. Are you avoiding some sort of disappointment? Use that tool while you're doing that because it puts your energetic body in a space of relaxation so that even though you're dealing with something tough, your body's processing it as, okay, all right, I got this. Another great tool. Protective. I really recommend talismans. This particular talisman is, one of my favorites. It's got a lot of symbolism on there. I won't go into that today. But, it could be an angel. It could be something, but it is something that you could actually wear on your body. This does come with a chain. And so talismans are by nature, they are protective. There are ways to charge them up. You can hold them in your hands and say your prayers to your guides, to God, to your angels, however you identify. I am protected at all times while I have this material on my body. You don't let anybody else touch it or meddle with it. It is your talisman, but it is a wonderful way to have something that just sort of puts you in a space of feeling protected, feeling safe, feeling like there is something that guards you and puts you in that moment of there's nothing to fear because I am surrounded by protection. I am guarded. I am guided. All right. So that's another thing, a talisman. Another one that many of you I know probably already use are crystals. And this happens to be a quartz crystal, but it's really about whatever crystal really that you're drawn to. But the wonderful thing about crystals, number one, they are living, they are energetic, beings is what the word that I'm getting. They are energetic, they are alive. And so that's why so many of us, when we work with crystals, we do feel that vibration in our hands, or we'll feel something going through our bodies, our hearts, our chakras when we're working with a crystal. But crystals are beautiful. There are just, an unending variety of them that all have different types of attributes. So for instance, quartz I love because it heightens anything that we are doing. It complements anything that we are doing. So if it's protective work, if it's abundance work, if it's manifestation work, if it's healing work, quartz helps amplify our intentions with all of that. There are other stones that are specific to abundance, protection, healing, magnetizing, attraction, all sorts of things. And you can look those up all, I'm sure many of you have your crystal collections. But when you are doing your shadow work, keep a crystal nearby. Very often it'll come in jewelry. You can wear that as well and use that as a talisman. But it is wonderful to work with your crystals, because what they do is they help ground you in the here and now. Yes, you are dealing with what was the root cause of this illness? What is the root cause of my loneliness? What is, why is it that money just always seems to slip through my grasp, or I don't have enough? What has caused my sense of deprivation and unworthiness? All of these things that we want to address. What we're doing is not reliving it again. We are getting it out of the way so we can create the space to make choices that take us in the new direction we're going. And crystals, like, bar none. If you didn't use any other tool that I talk about today, I would definitely say invest in some crystals, work with some crystals. Another thing that helps, and this is actually, I'm going to hold them because this is not even, this was a bottle of fragrance that someone gave me a long time ago, and I used the bottle and continued to add my own little stuff to it. But something that allows you, whether it is, I don't necessarily recommend a quote unquote commercial perfume. It does need to be something that is spiritually charged. It could be water based, that you've put some essential oils into, but it's having something that actually you can spritz around you. You can spritz on you. It clears your aura. I very often do this when I am over my tables before I get ready to do a reading, because water, liquid, has that ionization in it. It is a beautiful way to bring you back. It refreshes us, right? We think about it. Even when people are feeling faint or something, what do? Splash some cold water or put a cold compress on the back of the neck or over the eyes. Water coolness brings us into a space of feeling calmer, feeling more aware, feeling like, woo, before we go over, off into any other energy that's not good for us, it brings us right back to the center. All right, here you go, giving you a little more. And finally, you all, sound. I know that sound bathing, sound baths, is really, really popular right now. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing. But there's all sorts of things that you can use in your own home, whether it is, in this case, I'm using a tuning fork. That has it's been programmed to have a certain healing vibration. I think this one is 528 for those of you who are into the megahertz and all of that. But this is something that I use, and I will actually take it and I will feed that energy straight into my ears or straight into a chakra. All right? I take that energy and I literally use it, because sound, like water, is a great disperser of energy. It is a beautiful way to be able to, if you're feeling yourself start doubting or clenching up or feeling cloudy or just those fears start to crop up, it is a wonderful way to go, boom, disperse it. Sound is a beautiful way to disperse energy and then allow yourself to be able to receive it back. And finally, you all knew this was coming, is journaling. I put a blank page. I started to share some stuff and I said, no, the whole point is to be able to create from scratch. I often say, I had a reading yesterday where it came to me, that was then and this is now. When you are doing shadow work, when you are assessing what led you to the point of this current limiting belief or fear, or what you feel like is ineptitude or any kind of doubt about yourself. If you are estranged from family or have had a traumatic past in any way, things that happened that felt like you were a victim and it was just beyond your control. Totally understood. I respect that and I honor your ability to adapt and survive. This is about being able to look at those things, assess those things, and handle those things from a position of power. All of these tools I've shared with you today, this is about reclaiming your power. It is a psychological tool as well as a physical and mental tool to be able to take back your power, because that's really what, at the root of shadow work, that's what we're doing. It is not about reliving it over and over so somehow you process your way through it. That is a component. But ultimately, what's the end game? The end game is to be able to walk away from what kept you feeling that way, what happened, and move on into a greater and more dynamic and powerful version of yourself, so that then you can create the space for what it is that you're trying to manifest. All right? I hope that made sense. I hope it pinged you. And again, if you would like me to do a course on this and go a little deeper into that subject of shadow work and the tools that we can use to clear it out, let me know. I'm open to that, all right? Take good care, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.